You are locked into MMA Canada and very excited to be chatting to an individual competing at BFL 81 World War II, which goes down on September the 6th. And a very intriguing fight set to go down on UFC Fight Pass as David Moon readying to step into the Battlefield Fight League cage against Nicolas Ouellet. And great having Nicolas on the MMA Canada platform to chat a little bit. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, great getting to chat. We've got kind of chat a couple times over the years. Always good to kind of touch base and see where you're at now, though, and everything like that. Like, it seems like you're in a good spot in terms of being that number two ranked featherweight and fighting an experienced guy here who's got around 17, close to 20 pro MMA fights from what I'm seeing. So it seems like I'm catching you at a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely a big test. The most experienced guy I've fought so far. And I'm really excited to test myself against them. That's what I'm in it for, right? Just to fight the best guys. I'm not in it to pad my record. I'm not in it to fight scrums. I'm looking to fight the best guys in Canada and eventually the world. So this is a good step for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, he's definitely got the experience on paper, but also from what I'm seeing training out of TriStar and yeah, just has some great experiences across a few notable circuits. Like he got that victory on the Samurai MMA 6 card, but also beyond that, looks like he's competed for Octagon and some other reputable promotions as well. I mean, yeah, it looks like he's also fought for BFL as well, albeit not in quite a while. But yeah, just to say he's definitely got that resume for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for, man. The dangerous guys, the best guys. And I want to test myself that way, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, well, I mean, your career speaks to that, man. And I mean, I mentioned the fact that you were the number two ranked contender. Like, two seems to be a popular number for you in BFL, just with two prior bids at gold, which kind of speaks for itself in a certain sense. I mean, just even kind of serving that idea we were talking about before of always wanting to, fight the best guys. And when you're in there for belts, that's obviously going to be the case, as was evidenced in your fights with Matteo Vogel and Maxime Susi. So just always game to fight whoever, it seems like.
Yeah, yeah, that's what the game's about, man. And if you want to get to that highest level, I think it's good to experience the good and the bad. You know what I mean? And you got to fight the good guys to prove yourself. So this is the next step for that.
And you've had such a history with Battlefield too, like obviously going undefeated in your amateur career and winning their amateur lightweight belt in 2019. So it's been a great journey literally from the jump with the promotion. It seems like it seems like there's that confluence of yourself growing tremendously and it seems like the promotion has continued to grow for sure.
Yeah, it's been great watching the promotion grow, and it's actually, yeah, Battlefield's the best promotion in Canada in my opinion. It's also convenient for me because I'm in Powell River and they have their shows in Vancouver, so it's relatively close. And yeah, Jay's been doing a good job like promoting the athletes and yeah, I think BFL is the way to go if you want to get to that next level. So yeah, I'm happy with where I am.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And so much to talk about with what you've got going on presently, but I also feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't at least briefly touch on the last fight there, getting that first round guillotine choke finish in February over Luis Carlos Benuelos. Like, just a quality win for sure. I mean, getting that W at BFL 79, like, it seems like you were happy, but not necessarily satisfied. Like, it seemed like you were in a good pocket there, like in the post fight description, describing it as the sweetest win of your career, but also with that mindset of still lots to do in this game. So, I guess what were the main takeaways from that last one earlier this year?
Yeah, what I meant by the sweetest win in my career is just what I had to go through before that, right? Obviously there was the two losses that I personally feel I'm better than those guys. So they were losses that mean a lot to me, right? Like the Mateo fight was an amazing fight. I learned a lot. It was a close fight, so that's a decision win. But then I beat myself in the Susi fight, made a lot of mistakes, and then I had to come back and train my ass off and get that win back. So getting that win against Luis, it just felt really good because I haven't felt that win in a while, and now I just want to keep that ball rolling, right? So now on to the next. Fighting David Moon is going to be a big test, and dispatching him is going to be a big statement as well. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and obviously you'd be squarely focused on your immediate task and the fight itself, but I did mention you having the multiple bids for featherweight gold in BFL. Like it seems like a very featherweight centric kind of card just with Radley Da Silva defending his title on the card. Is there even like a slight kind of like peripheral awareness of that fight? Because I mean, you're one of the higher ranked contenders, so I would think an impressive win here could put you right in that queue for whoever the victor of that upcoming fight is on this event.
Yeah, 100%. You guessed it. Obviously, yeah, I gotta focus on David first, and once I deal with him, 100%, I want whoever wins that fight between the Silva and Randall. Ideally, would be if I could call a shot. That's what I would do. But like I said, it's inevitable. As long as I take care of business, it's in the horizon, right? So I just got to do my thing on September 6th, and good things will happen.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you mentioned Powell River BJJ. It seems like the team is no stranger to accolades, whether that's medals or championship belts. Like I was even seeing kind of earlier this year, the team took home 28 medals. So, I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, the team's growing, and from kids to adults, and it's awesome to have competition experience for everybody, right? So it's great. As a coach too, it's cool to see. So
And it must be so satisfying also getting to do it with your brother, Raphael. I mean, we've talked about that over the years and has been touched on by other journalists that cover the Canadian MMA scene. So that must be doubly sweet. I guess just that additional tendril of it being a cool experience, I guess.
100%, and having both of us fighting, it motivates us, right? So his last fight motivated me, and this fight's I'm about to take this guy out, and my brother's going to be inspired for the next one. So that's how we do it.
Yeah, do you have a certain idea for, I guess, what that would represent? Because, I mean, obviously your, Brazilian jiu-jitsu has spoken for itself all throughout your MMA career. Like I said, both amateur and pro. I mean, all your victories are first round submissions. So are we thinking maybe another similar victory in that vein? Like obviously you would never, I guess, like overly fixate on it or force that, but is that kind of what we're thinking for this one, I guess?
Well, yeah, I mean, if it works, don't fix it, right? So, I mean, if I'm able to get a hold of something, I will. But I know he's a gritty veteran, and I know he's experienced in there. So I doubt he'll fall into something silly like the last guy. But again, I just got to stay patient. I got to mix it up out there, and I know that he's always going to respect the ground. I think he's got a spot in this fight where he doesn't want to be, and I'm okay with being standing on the ground in the clinch anywhere. So I think I'm the more well-rounded guy, and I'm willing to prove it. So let's go.
Yeah, and I guess in kind of looking at the fight like that, does that almost, I guess, even serve something in your growth? I mean, you've been beyond the second round or beyond the first round rather previously. Like I know I said all of your finishes came at that juncture, but you've obviously, been the distance and kind of been beyond that. But I mean, is there a certain utility to like, I guess, putting on a performance where you see yourself getting that victory, but it transpiring in the later rounds potentially and facing that kind of, I guess, adversity, or maybe kind of like you'd articulated, someone who's not necessarily probably going to fall into some of those earlier traps as maybe some of the previous people you fought.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always going for the kill, man, from bell to bell. So from round one to round three, I'm going to be looking to take him out of there. But again, I'm willing for an all-out war if I need to. Right, I've prepared myself as best as I possibly can. I'm in amazing shape, and I'm ready to fight, man. So if I'm able to get him out of there early, I will. If he falls into something, I'll be ready. But again, I'm ready for war. So whatever happens, happens. I gotta let go of the fight itself and just enjoy myself out there.
Yeah, and I would think that things have settled in kind of nicely in a certain sense for you, just because, I mean, your MMA career beginning while like the pandemic was still kind of an ongoing thing, and maybe some of the complications that still existed there with COVID. Like maybe there's just like a clearer kind of landscape to carve out that path. Like I guess even kind of referencing Radley Da Silva again, because I'm talking to him a bit later and I was preparing for the interview, and it seemed like at certain points, like COVID was really, I guess, affecting his ability to be kind of consistent as well, or at least having that like fluidity within the schedule and stuff like that. So yeah, just great to see that you're, I guess, embarking on the second fight of the calendar year. And I mean, depending on how it goes, could maybe even get one more in before 2024 wraps up.
Yeah. The COVID thing is the actually what pushed me to go pro, right? Because there was no fights, no amateur fights, and then they brought back pro fights first, and I was preparing for a fight when everything hit, so I was itching to get back out there, and it just helped me just give that push for pro. I was gonna end up there anyways, so it was the good timing aspect of it. But yeah, so I'm sorry, dude. What was your question again?
No, yeah, I was just kind of highlighting more so just the fact that like the pandemic is in the rear view and there's not so many restrictions in place and so
Oh
many
yeah.
different regards. Just, I mean, even in terms of training or facilitating a certain competitive strength of schedule. And I mean, the promotions seem to have an easier time putting on shows. So yeah, it just seems like a
Yeah.
clearer kind of landscape in that sense, more so.
Yeah, I mean it's been cool seeing how BFL grew since then, right? Because I remember my first pro fight, there wasn't anybody in the crowd. Everyone was wearing masks. It was kind of very low key, and now it's a big show. So it's been cool, and now they're signed with Fight Pass and everything. So it's been since COVID, it's been really cool to see their growth as a promotion.
Yeah, I feel like it's benefited you as well because I mean, I pretty avidly check out MMA on point, like their YouTube content, and your pro debut was featured within that. So, I mean, there's really something to that, like just the fact that in your first professional fight, you're, I guess, getting that kind of attention and stuff like that, and that kind of traction sort of speaks to, I guess, I guess, I don't want to say ubiquitousness of the platform, but the prevalence, like the ability to, check out the action and whatnot.
Yeah, people like finishes, man, and I like finishes when I watch the sport too. So I'm always gonna go for the kill, and I just want to enjoy myself out there, enjoy the journey. Like it sounds corny, but it's true, right? Just and let go of the result and just go and have fun, right? And good things happen. I'm always looking for the kill. That's for damn sure. So I think that's why people like it.
Yeah, it comes across from your track record. Absolutely, man. But you were kind of talking before about how you feel like you're the more well-rounded fighter heading into this. Like, I feel like a lot of people, even just in analyzing the pure results of it, really tout the Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And obviously, that's always going to be an integral part of your approach. Like, what would you say in terms of like the striking game, like maybe who's like helped you really, I guess, like refine those skills, especially? Like, does it almost feel like something that you haven't even got to show the audience like the full extent of your striking acumen? Like, it seems like the confidence is there in terms of like how comprehensive your game is. So, I guess, can you kind of talk about the journey with like the striking end of it and maybe what we have kind of gotten to see so far from that, I guess?
Yeah. I started striking when I was a kid with my dad and my family. We were, my dad owned a kickboxing and karate school when I was a kid. So I was in diapers striking all growing up. And then I found jujitsu as a preteen. So when I fell in love with jujitsu, I started to realize that it's like clinching happens organically in any form of fighting, basically. And I'd be silly to just try and slug it out with those guys. So if I'm able to get a hold of them and keep them there, I'm gonna take it there and keep it there, right? But assuming this guy is good enough to move around, I'm gonna be able to show my striking, and I'm really looking forward to be able to do that. I'm not afraid to do that. I really want to, but like I said, like the easiest path of least resistance is what I'm looking for. As soon as I can get a hold of them, uh, I'm gonna try and keep it there, right? That'd be silly not to. But trading with him is definitely something that's gonna have to happen, right? I'm gonna have to show my striking, and I think the key to victory for this guy is just keep mixing everything together. I can't just go for one aspect of the game. I have to mix it all together. And I know he's shook on my ground game. He's not going to want to be there. So as long as I keep imposing that fear, he's going to be guessing out there.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of worked out too, because what I was seeing in a feature from MMA Canada when that site was still regularly putting stuff out, like there was a profile done on you and your brother where it was talking about how you were in like a fairly unique form of karate called yoseikan budo fairly early. That also, in addition to having striking, seems also mindful of the grappling component. So it seemed like a strong base for what you're doing now.
Yeah, my dad is a black belt under in yoseikan budo, and he's the reason why we started martial arts. So obviously there's a ton of credit to my dad, Jean-Marc Ouellet. But also, I've dabbled with different styles of striking. Like Andre Romanov was our boxing coach for many years. Shout out to him. We went out to Franco this camp, so we got to train with with Chris Franco, and we learned a lot of cool things there. You know, all around the different camps, learning from different people. It's just putting it all together, right? You can't just go for one style of striking, so to speak. You got to blend it all together for what works best for you. And I feel like I've been doing that. So I just feel like I'm hitting my stride in the striking, and I'm willing and able to show it. So we'll see how it goes out there. Sorry, my dog.
No worries at all. Yeah, it's just been cool to see the journey because in that same feature I was referencing, you were talking about how you'd entered your first jujitsu class as someone who was already a karate black belt at 13, and you were like, "Oh, I got my ass kicked by a little girl named Abby Lloyd who was a blue belt in jujitsu at the time," and just really, I mean, so cool to see the growth because it seemed like it was like a thing that really, I guess, motivated you. Like, I need to really hone in on this thing and focus on it. And now it's like such a prevalent part of your game. And I mean, people know you for Powell River, BJJ, etc.
Yeah, I feel like that's so important. It can either make you not want to do it ever again, or you fall in love with it and want to learn it, right? When you first join, I was a black belt. I was a little cocky, maybe, right? Because I was known as a black belt in karate or whatever. And I went into the jiu-jitsu class and I felt like just such a noob, right? Like I didn't know anything. I got tossed around, and that can either get you pissed off or it can make you want to learn it. And I was just like, this stuff works. I need to learn this. So I got obsessed with it. There was also judo back then. So I started judo at the same time as jiu-jitsu. And I feel like that's a big part of my game as well.
Yeah, it seems like it really helps round out the game a lot, having that judo component in the mix too. Yeah, it's interesting. There can be like almost like a bit of a meta game with that too. Like I obviously am at a much lower level, but in like some of the jujitsu that I've done, it's like you'll even kind of like anecdotally roll with certain people, and it feels like you usually do pretty well. So there starts to be this like little like sub ego kind of thing that bubbles in. Like you're not like super consciously arrogant about it, but then there's sometimes where it's like, oh, this person that I roll with and usually do pretty well with is doing a lot better this time. So it's like there's sometimes those like little like meta ego checks in a certain regard, I guess.
Oh man, ego checks, yeah, 100%. Martial arts is amazing for that, right? Like you, it teaches you how to be humble in defeat and humble in victory. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. It's great to, get to see all of that. And I'm sure you, I guess, even have the refinement of your technique so much more there by virtue of having the school. Like I was talking to Kevin Popowick Bastian the other day, and I feel like I've talked to a lot of fighters about this in general through the time I've done this, just the benefits of teaching people that technique when they're kind of like earlier on in their journeys, or I mean, really whatever stage they're at, because then it's like you have to really break it down to the most basic elements, and it maybe even further refines like certain techniques that you've been doing for years.
Yeah, 100%. You can't take anything for granted, basically, right? So, like, you can assume someone knows something, but they don't even know the terminologies or anything. So, you got to start at the very baseline fundamentals, and that helps in the long run for us because anyone who's coaching from any level, really, you have to explain it in the way that works for that person. Not everyone learns the same, right? Some people they want you to show, some people they want to feel it, right? Some people want to know why, like, why am I putting my arm here? Why am I shrimping this way? Stuff like that, right? So I try to blend all those things together. And it's cool to teach kids too, because some kids, you need to explain it in a very simplistic way. um, that works, right? That's also effective. So it's really cool. Helps your game in the long run for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. It's been a cool journey to follow so far, and it'll be really exciting to see this next chapter in the story unfurl, like we've been talking about. Definitely an experienced opponent and everything like that. So yeah, just cool to see it come together. But I also do want to be mindful of your time and what you're getting up to, Nicholas. So I figured I'd give you the floor if there was a final parting thought you were wanting to add as we're kind of wrapping up here. I do appreciate your time.
No, thank you for having me. It's great. I'm ready to fight. Enjoy the show. And thank you to my team, Powell River BJJ, my dad, John Ouellet, Nelson Sprue, Deidre Cathcart, my brother, Raphael, of course, everybody in Powell River, and everyone at Franco's, too, for having us for camp. It's been great. Jaden Martin, Chris Franco. Um, yeah, it's been a great camp, and I'm excited to show what I've learned a lot.
Yeah, and for people who aren't in the immediate area, great that they can check it out on UFC Fight Pass, as we've kind of mentioned during the chat. But I'll be certainly tuned into BFL 81 to see what's going on September 6th. And thanks so much for coming on MMA Canada ahead of this David Moon fight. And yeah, no, thanks so much for the insights, Nicholas. And you have a good rest of your day as well, man.
Yeah, you too, man. We'll see you out there.